gonna make it, just keep chasing your dream. No matter how hard it seems, we gotta keep working a little bit longer. Every day getting a little bit stronger.
Welcome to Dream Chaser Radio.
Welcome back to the Dream Chaser Show. Today's guest is Aimee Elizabeth. But before we get into that, I want to let you know, if you're in the Atlanta area, starting July 26th, we'll be kicking off our first Dream Chaser Entrepreneur Mastermind. It'll be a 12-week mastermind. 12 other highly motivated, like-minded entrepreneurs such as yourself getting together for an hour and a half every week to get better in our businesses, brainstorm, create new ideas, overcome challenges, hold each other accountable. So if you've never been a part of a high-quality mastermind group, this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity to take your business to the next level. It's going to be held at an upscale private club here in Atlanta, so it's going to be a real nice environment to just get together and brainstorm for an hour and a half every week. So if you're interested, let me know. There's only 12 spots. We want to keep it as intimate as possible. Right now we have about 8 filled, and looking to fill the other 4 slots within the next week or two. So hit me up at Will@Dream Chaser Show if you're interested in being considered, and looking forward to that. It's going to be a great opportunity. Now, my guest for today, Aimee Elizabeth, a very successful entrepreneur and business consultant, and she also happens to be the author of the best-selling book, Poverty Sucks: How to Become a Self-Made Millionaire. Aimee, I appreciate you coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you. I want to get into the book, but first off, I just want you to tell everybody your story, kind of who you are and what your background is.
Sure, be happy to. I grew up in Westchester County, New York, one of the most well-to-do areas in the nation. I was a straight-A student, tested out at genius level, pride and joy of the family, hands down the family favorite for years and years. Had some issues when I got to be 15. Apparently, Dad was stepping out on Mom. Mom's response was to drink heavily and start picking on me, hoping to regain the attention of her philandering husband without actually confronting on the cheating. And I've taken a lot of psych courses on the whole thing, and apparently when this happens, they tend to pick on the strongest child in the family, and that was me, because you'll get the strongest reaction. And there was a big one. We went to war with each other, and eventually that led to me getting kicked out of the house when I was 15, and it's actually the best thing that ever happened to me.
So she kicked you out at 15. I don't know how I would personally deal with that. At 15 years old, I mean, I thought I knew it all, but looking back, I didn't even know how to write a check at 15. So how did you deal with that?
Well, actually, I was pleased. Like I said, I was really pleased to get out of the house. I had always worked since I was 8 years old. I babysat, I mowed lawns, I tutored other kids, I worked at the local library, and I'd always saved up money. So I was fortunate enough to have $1,500 in a savings account on the night that my mom kicked me out. So I was able to rent a really, really scary apartment in a really, really bad part of town. And if I hadn't had that money saved up, I probably would have died or starved to death, or who knows what horrible thing could happen to me. But it allowed me to transition pretty quickly into my own place. Luckily, the landlady didn't ask for any ID. I didn't have any, so that worked out really well. And I just kept going to high school and working my part-time jobs and basically just existing, you know, barely not starving to death. I couldn't afford both rent and food, so I usually had jobs at like food service places, you know, minimum wage jobs, so I could eat a free meal a day there. And then I got a boyfriend in high school, and his family just adored me. We're still close to this day, and they fed me dinner every night while their son and I dated. And it's odd because she was the mom of that family had actually been close friends with my mom before I got kicked out, and my boyfriend had been friends with my older brother before I got kicked out. And so it was kind of an odd thing, and we still laugh about it to this day because we still visit each other and have kept in close touch, and they're just the most wonderful people in the world.
You eventually left that situation. You winded up moving to Dallas.
Well, I moved to Dallas, let's see, I believe I was 18 at the time, and I went to visit my father, who had then since divorced my mother and had run off with a girlfriend that, you know, inspired him to ignore his family obligations. And she was actually, the girlfriend was terrific. She was 3 years older than me, which is entertaining in itself. But just a good heart, a sweet person. I can see why my dad liked her and loved her, and I did too. And she got me a job at their insurance agency where she worked, and it was twice the money I was used to making. And it was supposed to be a 1-month visit, but I just never went back once they offered me full-time employment.
So this is from age 15 to 18, would you say? So you're about 18?
Right, correct.
In Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
That period of time, those 3 years, you're basically living on your own, taking care of yourself.
Correct.
What lessons did you learn during that period?
Well, I learned that there's only 3 things you really need in life, and that's food, clothing, and shelter. Everything else is just gravy. I learned not to be a victim. The night my mom kicked me out, I said to myself, actually, I said it out loud. I said, you know what? She was making me crazy, but I'm an adult now. It's up to me to fix my own life. So I refused to be a victim, and that has served me very well. And I also learned that poverty sucks, and it was time to change my life.
But how did you manage to survive all that time on your own?
Well, like I said, I always worked my part-time jobs, and I had my $1,500 in the bank that carried me for a little while. Rent was a lot cheaper some, 30-some years ago, especially for, a bad apartment. And I was always searching out cheaper rent, so I moved usually every couple of months looking for a cheaper place to live, if it was a room or an apartment or whatever it was. And like I said, I would work 40 hours a week after, at night and on weekends while I was still attending high school. I just, I never bought clothes because I couldn't afford them, so my clothes were pretty much rags by then, and I just did the best I could. Right.
It seems like you would have had to have a positive attitude in order to get through all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always been an eternal optimist, and I think it helped me with all my teachers always telling me I could do anything I wanted to do in life, and I believed them. I'd heard that since the time I was 5 up until I graduated high school, and so I had an unshakable belief in myself, and failure never entered my mind, and I think I was too young to be scared or to know how much danger I was really in.
Okay, so what it sounds like happened here, whereas most kids go off to college and learn to get a job, instead you got a master's degree in the art of survival and creating something out of nothing. And I see that same pattern with a lot of people who have become extremely successful. My question to you is, with everything that you've learned, do you think that you can lose everything, start from scratch, and become a millionaire all over again today?
I wouldn't want to, but I'm sure that I could because now I have a lot more knowledge and experience.
So your first business, tell us about that.
My first business was a lingerie modeling business. I had it for 8 or 9 years. I'm getting a little old. I'm starting to forget the dates. But
I don't think it has anything to do with age.
Oh, well, thanks. Anyway, it was a really fun business. Basically, we were lounge entertainment for like Holiday Inn lounges and neighborhood bars for like happy hour. We'd put on a 2-hour fashion show modeling lingerie and swimsuits, and so it would build up the happy hour crowd. The hotel or the club would pay me for arranging the show. We'd also have a raffle to raffle off one of the outfits of the customer's choice. So I made money off the raffle tickets, and then we also received tips. We wore garters on our thighs, and the men could tip us, and so it was very profitable, very fun business. I had usually around 13 shows going a week, and depending, 10 to 20 girls modeling for me, and it was real fun. I worked 2 to 4 hours a day, and I was making more than my dad, who was a bank vice president.
Say that's a good job.
Yeah, I would say so. I was pretty pleased with myself. Dad was horrified, of course, because Mr. Conservative, but I didn't care.
And so what did that teach you about business, that experience?
I learned never to have a partner, because when I first started, I had a partner, and turns out she had no money, she had no talent. All she did was suck out 50% of the profits and didn't do anything to actively help the business. I was the one arranging all the shows, and in fact, she actually caused harm to the business by some of her behaviors where I lost accounts. And when I finally heard that, I ended the partnership immediately, and I restarted it as a sole proprietorship, and it went great. I had no problems, and like I said, had it 8 or 9 years. I can't quite remember exactly, but.
And so you're saying never have a partner?
Usually, if you have a partner, it's because you lack confidence in yourself in some particular skill set or area. Hire somebody. Hire a business consultant. I do business consulting. You can hire me. You know, if it's computer stuff that you lack skills in, hire a computer expert. Whatever area you think that you don't have the right skill set, hire somebody on a temporary part-time basis to get you over the hump. Because a partner, if it's the wrong partner, you have to go through like a legal divorce of your partner. It's much like divorcing a spouse. It's a nightmare and a legal boondoggle, and it's time-consuming and stressful, and it'll cost you a lot of money, and it's just not in any way a good thing or fun at all. So I highly recommend do not have a partner. Just don't do it. Just say no to partners.
I've heard that before. I do believe that the most important thing that a partner can give you is the accountability aspect. But what you're saying is basically you don't need to have a partner to have someone make you accountable. You could just hire a coach.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that's your first experience. Tell us about your second venture.
My second venture was a nightclub. And again, I was foolish enough to have a partner. It was an ex-boyfriend of mine who we then were just like at a friend level, or so I thought. I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea to trust him as a partner, because during the entire relationship, he cheated on me the whole time. Which lying and cheating aren't exactly traits you should look for in a partner, but you know, I was still in my 20s and still a little green around the edges as far as the business world goes, and he was the one who wanted to open a nightclub, and he kept sort of bringing it up and dangling it in front of me and waiting for the fish to bite. And so I finally said, oh, well, you know, how much would it cost to get this going? Because he's talking about how much money he can make, and he's done it before. And he had owned a nightclub before, but I found out later, because he would never show me the records. I kept asking, let me see the records, you know, and, you know, my son has them in Las Vegas. I can't show them to you, blah, blah, blah. And he won't mail them to me. I keep asking, and it didn't occur to me that his accountant was there in Texas, where we both lived, and could have easily shown me the records. But again, I was still a little green around the edges. And so finally, I went along with him, and I found out his only real talent was drinking heavily, giving away drinks to his buddies, and yelling at me whenever I had an idea that might make the business profitable.
A little intimidated, sounds like.
Yeah, and so he was bullying me, and I was allowing it. I won't dispute that. It's my own fault for allowing it. But when he started talking about filing for bankruptcy, and he had nothing to lose, he had no savings or anything, but I still had another business, because I still had my lingerie business, and I still had money in the bank that I wanted to hang on to. So I went and I saw a lawyer, and I got my legal business divorce from him, and he cussed me out thoroughly once I told him what I did, but he should really have thanked me, because I saved his credit. He was going to file for bankruptcy. I told him that my plan was to turn the business around, to get it in the black in 3 months, and then to sell it in the 4th month, because while I had enough business sense to turn it around, I didn't have enough specific nightclub experience to sustain it. And I'm always aware of my what I don't know. I don't delude myself into thinking I know everything, or I'm the best at everything. I'm very humble about all that. So I did exactly that. I turned it around in 3 months, sold it in the 4th, got some of my money back. I still came out in the negative on that, but it was a very expensive learning experience that just really enforced no partners. Never have a partner. I had to do it twice before I got the message, but I may learn slow, but I do learn good. So.
Well, it's like my mom always used to say, you're a little thick, aren't you? So I had to tell you something a couple times.
Right.
So I know you've had a number of businesses throughout your career. When did the dam finally break? When did the floodgates open?
What do you mean on that?
In terms of prosperity?
Well, I was very pleased with how I was doing in my 20s. I was probably making about $50,000 a year, which to me, after minimum wage, that was huge money. And you're also talking about, 30-some years ago. So that was a lot more income then. And then my real big business that made me a lot was my indoor plant care business that I started here in Vegas 20 years ago. I picked up most of the major hotel accounts in town, and by the time I sold it, I was making about $250,000 a year on it. And I sold that and retired and got into real estate investing and did great with that too. And I bought in at the right time, just before the bubble, like a year or two before, and had no idea what a bubble was, but I like to play with money. Monopoly was my favorite board game as a kid, and so I was just always keeping track of prices. And when prices hit 2.5 times what I had paid for my properties, and CDs at that time, certificates of deposit, were paying 5 to 6%. And I went, basically my return on equity, now that prices are so high, while it used to be 10% on the rentals, now it had dropped to 4%, and I could 2.5 times my principal by selling out and collect 5 to 6% and do nothing and not have to deal with tenants and toilets. So I went, I'm selling, and sold at the peak of the bubble. And then I got kind of bored because I don't like to work hard, but 2-3 hours a day, that's good for me. Even though I'm retired, I have to have something to do. I have to have a project. I consider retirement to be, I no longer have to work for money, but it doesn't mean I don't still enjoy making money. Anyway, after I sold everything, and the CDs really required no attention except cashing checks every month, and I said to myself, gee, I wish the real estate market would come back down to normal prices so I could buy back in, because I kind of like being a landlord. And like magic, the real estate gods, I guess they listened, and sorry to everyone else in the country, but the prices came back down. And
oh, so that was your fault, huh?
Yeah, blame me. So I bought back in, and now I have 21 rentals again, and doing the landlord thing, and then with the economy in the toilet, I went on to writing my book and doing the business consulting because I want to help everybody, and also involved with streetteams.org, a local Nevada charity. I've donated books to them and plan to give some talks to their kids to hopefully give them hope and a blueprint for how to make something of themselves and to erase any victim mentality that might be lingering there.
That's great. And I want to talk about the book. One question I do want to ask you,
Sure,
which kind of seems obvious to me in listening to your story, is that through the course of your career and developing these businesses and owning them, you never got married to any of them.
to the businesses?
Correct.
No.
Can you talk about, like, this is something that you built, something that you created, and then being able to just sell it? Did you ever get attached in any way?
I always tried to build my businesses around things I enjoyed and had a passion for so that the work would be enjoyable. But for me, the real passion is in the making of the money. And this may sound really odd to most people, but the first big fun for me is building the business. The challenge of that, building it from scratch, all the preparation. I really dig that, learning all the new stuff. And then building it and seeing each milestone. First you pass 50,000, then you pass 100,000 a year, then you're at 250,000 a year, and then after a couple of years of making like really big money, you're gonna find this odd, and your audience may too, but I get bored. It's like it's too easy.
How about that? Making money.
Yeah, making money.
Boring. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd get bored and I'd sell it and, cash out basically, and then I'd usually kick back for a few months and do nothing, and then I'd get bored again and go, well, what's piquing my interest now? And so I'd start a new business.
One thing I want to talk about is fear, because I think it's the number one reason that most people don't do things from an entrepreneurship perspective.
I agree.
Do you ever have a fear of losing money when you're investing at the beginning stages?
For me, with a new business that I'm starting, I never have any fear whatsoever. I have a complete and total faith in my abilities. I know what I can do. And especially since I've repeated it so many times successfully, I have total faith in myself. Now, an investment with somebody else, that's a scary thing to me. Like investing in stocks or something, that's scary to me because it's not under my control.
And so what do you think holds most people back?
I think the number one fear or thing holding people back is fear. Fear of failure and fear of success. It's just total fear. Fear of change, fear of things being different, fear of having to climb out of their comfort zone, fear of learning new things, fear of being embarrassed if I fail, or what if I make a mistake. Just throw the fear out. Who cares what anybody thinks? You know, if you just keep at it, you don't have to be the best at anything to succeed. You just have to keep showing up and keep plugging away. In all my businesses, I tried to prepare as much as I possibly could by learning about every aspect I could think of about the business before I would take the plunge. But you can only learn so much before you take the plunge, and then there's always going to be something that comes along that was unexpected. There's no way you could prepare for it. So big deal. You buy yourself a little time and you go and research it. Customer asks you for some, you know, hey, we want you to get acrobats out here to, you know, whatever. You don't know anything about acrobats, so you're like, oh yeah, let me get back to you in a few days on that. You know, just fake it so you can make it type of thing, and go do your research on the acrobats, and then, oh yeah, here you go, sir. We can either, you know, this is our price if you want to hire through us, or, you know, if you don't really want to deal with the acrobats yourself, yeah, maybe due to liability reasons or whatever, then you say, well, you know, here's a company that does it directly that would save you money. So you've cemented your relationship with the customer, because now you're not looking all greedy and you're trying to save them money if you want to pass off this acrobat opportunity. Or you can make yourself some more money, and now you have a new division to your business. You can always decide. Nothing's set in stone. You know, you just need to be able to be flexible and to realize that new situations, don't let them panic you. Just take a deep breath, find something to laugh about it, whatever, and then just tackle the problem. Start doing your research and decide what you want to do. It's your business. You get to decide.
Just give me, and I know you talk about a lot of this in your book, but just give me 2 steps that you would take. What are the 2 most important things that you need to do if you're starting again from scratch?
I would say the 2 most important things you need to do is believe in yourself and don't give in to the victim mentality. You need to say, I will and I can, which are what winners say. People who say, I'll try or I'll can't, those are losers. Those are people who've already decided in their head that they're not going to be able to do it, because those aren't words of commitment. If you get married, the preacher doesn't ask if you'll try. Are you going to try to stay faithful? Are you going to try to stay together forever? No. His question is, your answer is, I do, or I can, or I will. I'll try, you've already defeated yourself. And I can't, you've defeated yourself to the point you're not even going to try. So there's no trying. It's do or do not. There is no try. Believe in yourself and have that winner mentality, and don't let yourself ever feel like a victim, because everybody in life gets problems thrown at them. You might think you're special and your problem is worse than anybody else's, but it's not. We just all get different problems that hurt us all in different ways. And I feel that what really reveals character is how you deal with your problems. I could have laid down and died and given up and become a junkie or a hooker or been in prison or, you know, any number of horrible things. But I decided that first night, no, I'm going to fix my life. Took a little time, didn't happen overnight, worked a lot of suck jobs that I didn't like, but I didn't give up. I had a plan.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Poverty Sucks. How to Become a Self-Made Millionaire. Your new book. I know it's been on the bestseller list for the most of the year so far. And I want you to tell us a little bit about that, what we might expect to find in it. Like I said, I've started reading the first chapter. I think you did an incredible job.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about it, why you wrote it, you know, what the reader can expect to find.
Sure. The reason I wrote it is I've been wanting to write a book my whole life since I was 9, but I never really knew about what. And then when the economy tanked, my whole life story just seemed to be the thing I should tell. And so, and that way I could help people find their way out of this horrible economy that we're in by creating their own businesses, therefore creating their own income stream and creating their own security financially. So the first chapter of the book basically just gives you my life story in a nutshell, in the perspective of, look what happened to me and I still made it, so anybody can. And then the second 2 chapters, one describes the loser mentality and one describes the winner mentality. And I'm sure you can guess which one I'm hoping the readers will choose.
I'm guessing the winner mentality.
Yeah, because without the winner mentality, you might as well just put the book down, because you're not going to succeed, because you'll quit. Persistence pays off, and you just can't ever quit. In fact, I had a poem I often read through high school called Don't Quit. And it motivated and inspired me many times to keep going. The rest of the book, I'd say, is about 70% on how to start up a small business. It tells you everything you need to know in really easy to understand fashion. No big highfalutin words where you need a thesaurus or dictionary by your side. Tells you every step, how to select your business, how to pick the name of your business. It gives you ideas for businesses. If none of that jogs anything, it tells you how to come up with your own ideas, tells you how to grow the business, how to hire employees, how to deal with taxes and any legal matters, just everything. It tells you all the way how to grow it to the point of if you either want to sell it or hire a manager to run it for you. And then with either of those cases, if you can just hire a manager and then kick back and collect the money, or you can sell it and do like I did and invest in real estate, and probably another 20% of the book tells you how to invest in real estate if that's what you want to do, if you have the landlord bug like I do. It teaches you how to find properties, which ones you should buy, which ones you shouldn't, how to find tenants, which ones you should accept, which ones you shouldn't. All legal, of course, no discrimination of any kind, but qualities in a tenant that will make for a happy tenant-landlord relationship. And it tells you all that. And then it also has a final chapter on investing in paper assets if you prefer not to deal, with rental property. And whether you keep your business or sell it, if you retire, by selling it or with the manager, either way, you've got money coming in, you've got to invest it in something. So the paper asset section is very helpful for that. So it pretty much covers everything. And then it also has our web address in there, www.aimeeelizabeth.net, which is spelled AIMEE ELIZABETH. But you can go to the website, and if you feel the need for any business consulting, I have several different programs that you can sign up with me so you don't get a partner. And I can hold your hand and mentor you and walk beside you if you're scared. And that can help people get over the fear. That's why I had partners, because I was afraid. I lacked confidence. So I'm not unique. I'm sure lots of people lack confidence. So let me help you. And then when you have the confidence after a year or however long you need, then you just let me go. It doesn't cost you any extra money. You're not paying me 50% of your profits. That way you're all squared away without saddling yourself with a partner.
Again, I think the book is phenomenal. I think the rule of 5 criteria that you lay out is worth the price of the book, alone.
Oh, thank you.
In addition,
I agree.
In closing, is there anything that I didn't get an opportunity to ask you, or maybe you wanted me to ask you, or any advice that you want to leave the listeners with today?
I guess the best thing to do is just never, ever give up. Remember that persistence pays off. Most of success in life comes from just showing up every day, and always hold on tight to your dreams.
And Aimee, just one more time, just let everybody know how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. My website address is www.aimeeelizabeth.net. That's www.aimeeelizabeth.net. The book name is Poverty Sucks: How to Become a Self-Made Millionaire. And you can reach me there directly on my website. There's a contact me button. It will come directly to me. And you can get the book there. You can get the business consulting there. Everything's there.
Aimee, I appreciate you stopping by today. I wish you much continued success with the new book, and look forward to talking with you again in the future. Until the next time we talk, live big, dream big.
Thank you, Will. It's been such a pleasure talking with you, too. I appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you so much.